for the 2000 games.
Well, as we start this third period, when we talked to Larry Bird yesterday, he talked about how important it was for his starting team to get off to a good start in the first quarter and the third. First quarter disaster, down 15. Now what you're going to see is Kobe Bryant once again against Mark Jackson, up the floor trying to pressure, make them use clock to get into their offense slowly. Let's see if they can get Miller a quick shot here.
Here's Reggie with the ball against Harper. He goes into Smits for the jump hook on Shaq. That's good.
Now, he started the game the same way, missed 3 of those shots before he finally got in rhythm. I think he's finding out that if he catches the ball in there and he takes his time, he can get that shot against Shaq.
Smits has scored 8, and it's a 10-point game. Into O'Neal. Only Jackson there to help. He turns on Smits and tips in his own miss.
The double team is coming from the top, so Shaq should not be allowed to spin baseline. Smits has got to get over on that shoulder and not let him turn that way.
23 for O'Neal. Can Smits answer? He can.
But it's down here on this defensive end. He has got to get his body up on Shaq, and although Shaq has the strength, he's got to know where his help is coming and send Shaq back to that person.
Glenn Rice with that high dribble. Harper looking for O'Neal. Back to Harper. The fake on Jackson and the jumper. AC Green comes in for the rebound. And left alone, he hits from the foul line.
All 5 guys must rebound. When you look at Larry Bird, he knows possession of the basketball is everything, especially when you're trailing. You got to get back in the game. You got to get some stops.
Smits again. He'd hit his first 2, finally misses his first shot of this third quarter. Harper swoops to the basket, and there's a whistle.
And Ron Harper goes inline to inline. Nobody stops the basketball. You got to step up. Now, Ron Harper in that first half had 8 points. He was 3 of 3, hit a 3. Reggie Miller had none. But look at this. Who's stopping the basketball? You take the ball right to the front of the rim, and you finally get to the foul. But Indiana right now, their defense in this open court situation is really getting themselves in trouble, Bob.
Foul was on Smits, his third. Ron Harper, throughout the Portland series especially, and here in game 1 of this series against the Pacers, has been a sneaky scorer. He'll throw in some key points. He says with a smile that in 6 years with Phil Jackson, he has never called a play for me once.
That's when you got Michael Jordan and Scottie Pippen and Tony Kukoc on your team. You're not going to get a lot of plays. That's why you have to learn to play within the offense and just make the shots when they're there. And then you play the tough defense, and that's why he has 3 rings going for his 4th.
And now Kobe Bryant and Shaquille O'Neal and Glenn Rice.
That's right.
They're not looking for Harper as a first, second, or third option. It's Rose for 3 and Shaq for the rebound. Lakers by 13. Kobe Bryant to the baseline. He finds Green open. The rebound taken by Reggie Miller. Smits from Jackson. Only 4 players in the history of the NBA have more career assists than Mark Jackson. And they're all Hall of Famers or future Hall of Famers.
That was great vision. Looked right over his shoulder and saw Smits coming. Dropped the pass off nicely.
And as Shaq makes his move in between Jackson and Smits, there's an Indiana foul.
A fast break doesn't always have to be fast. It can be controlled. And you see Mark Jackson waiting for the guy to cut through, and then he drops the ball off to Rick Smits, who finishes it up. So that's the ability to know when to turn and use speed, when to slow it up, let the floor clear, and drop it off to your big man.
Luckily for the Pacers, that foul was on Jackson and not Smits.
The NBA on NBC is brought to you by Miller Lite. The coolest stuff in the world is at Miller's Get the Goods Online option. By GMC. Do one thing, do it well. And by the movie that goes from gentle to mental. Me, Myself, and Irene. Starring Jim Carrey. June 23rd.
Here's Mark Jackson assisting a moment ago on a basket by Rick Smits. Mark Jackson may not make the Hall of Fame, but the 4 players who have more assists in the history of the NBA than Mark Jackson all are Hall of Famers or future Hall of Famers. Stockton, Johnson, Robertson, and the newest Hall of Famer, Isaiah Thomas. hanging out with some of the best in NBA history on that list. Let's go to Ahmad.
All right, thanks, Bob. Phil Jackson, with just a subtle way of getting his team's attention, told them after that last time out, he says, Rick Smits has 6 points, we have 5. We're starting out the wrong way. Bob?
Thanks, Ahmad. Trying to rectify that situation. They go to O'Neal. His hook is no good, but there's Rice with the follow, and now it's all over when it winds up in Shaq's hands.
Again, rebounding, one of the strengths of the Lakers, one of the best rebounding teams in the league, one of the best offensive rebounding teams in the league. Talked about in the earlier 2 rounds what they did, and tonight they're starting to wear down and get on that offensive board. Pacers got to rebound.
That was the Lakers' 10th offensive rebound. Smits again. Dale Davis trying to keep it alive. And it's out of bounds to the Lakers. Into Shaq, who has 25. That one won't stay down, but the tip does.
2 offensive rebounds by Ron Harper. You've got to block out. If you're going to get back in this game, you have got to get on those boards. That is one of the Lakers' strengths.
Ron Harper has 11. Here's Miller on the move and a whistle, so he may get his first points at the foul line.
Now, when the game started out, it was the Pacers on the boards. Now it is the Lakers. The jump hook, nobody blocks out. And you see Glenn Rice with the offensive rebound, doesn't finish, and there's Shaquille O'Neal all alone for the dunk. Next possession, it's Ron Harper with 2 tips and lay-in. So 4 offensive rebounds already to start this 3rd period.
Almost unbelievably, that was Reggie Miller's first point. He hit 92% of his free throws this year. Second only to Jeff Hornacek in his last year with Utah. Hornacek hit 95%.
Reggie is very subdued right now. He plays his best when he's got a chip on his shoulder. He's got to find something here to get upset about, get himself in his game emotionally.
Well, you can tell there is not the same rivalry here, nothing approaching it, that Reggie experiences in Eastern Conference arenas. He's got the rebound off the Rice miss. In New York, when Reggie went to the line and got his first point on a free throw, there would have been sarcastic cheers. There was nothing here. Here's Smits. Finds Miller. A 2-point attempt. No good. Loose ball picked up by Bryant. Harper. And the foul will be on Jackson. Meanwhile, Reggie Miller is 0 for 8 after missing that last one. Here's Ahmad.
All right, thanks, Bob. Just on that point you were talking about Reggie being the villain, I had a sit-down interview with him yesterday, and he told me that coming to L.A., he guaranteed the first game that the crowd would be with him, but before this season was over, they would hate him, and that's when he would rise. Bob?
He is, of course, a Californian. High school in Riverside, college at UCLA.
Well, rivalries are born at playoff time. We know that when the stakes are high and one team's going to advance and then one's going to be eliminated, that's where the rivalries occur. And that's where Reggie in New York and Reggie in Chicago and the different Reggie in Miami, the different places that they've had to play in the East. When you only play a team twice, like they do now, East-West, it's very difficult to have a rivalry unless you're meeting in the finals like the Celtics and the Lakers did so often.
1 of 2 for Harper. 14-point Los Angeles lead. Miller returns it to Smits. In the lane, Davis fakes Shaq off his feet. And there's a whistle on the drive.